Hey, what is up? We are back on the test server 123 and we're going to take a look at all the hidden tanks that are out there right now, and we're going to take a look at the models of the BZ-72-1. This is the tier 10, obviously some kind of premium or some kind of reward tank. This is a really good looking model. If we take a look at the silhouette of this tank, this is a traditional looking quote-unquote heavy tank that we are used to. This is something I would definitely draw as a kid when you talk about a tank. Traditional shape, very sloped frontal armor. This looks like an Object 140 T62A kind of turret. If you look at the turret, but it's kind of elongated at the back with that alien head, the bustle, I think that's what they call it. And then there's of course the 50 cal machine gun. This is really cool looking. I think a lot of people will want this tank. It will be a desirable tank just because of its looks. I think this does 560 alpha, 260 penetration on standard shells, 320 on premium shells, shell velocity 1000 meters per second, 950 on the premium shells. So I think it's going to be APCR on standard shells and heat on premium shells. However, the reload time 14.6 seconds. This is the downside. Man, this thing even has a smoke screen thing. This is a smoke screen deployer, right? 2.5 seconds aim time, 0.38 dispersion. This is definitely going to be a breakthrough heavy tank, right? That's what they call it now, breakthrough. You're gonna have to be in the front to do any kind of damage. Find a place to hull down, find a corner to hide, shoot, and then go, kill yourself for 14 seconds and then come back and shoot again. This is what the kind of tank it's going to be. It is going to have rocket boosters here, rocket boosters there. So it's going to be the typical Chinese tank with 5 boosters. And it's going to be pretty quick, 75 kilometers an hour going forward with the boosters. Without the boosters, it's only 50. Yeah, so this is the BZ-72-1. Let's go to the next tank. Alright, here we go. This is the tier 9 T55 Delta. This is a T55, T54 of the German variant. This is probably post World War II. And I don't think they had a T54, T55 in World War II anyway, so this is definitely Cold War era. And maybe the Germans bought some from the Russians and then put their own. What kind of armor is this? Is this concrete or some kind of composite armor? I have no idea. But this is 390 alpha for a tier 9. Not really tier 9 kind of alpha damage, but 390 for a medium tank is pretty good. 268 penetration, 300 on the premium shells. I do believe this is going to be AP stock shells for 268 pen and heat shells for 300 pen. It's got a machine gun pointing backwards. This is for shooting those guys at the back, at the back of the team, those tank destroyers and artillery that are hiding at the back. You shoot them and keep them alert, keep them on their toes. Reload time is pretty quick, 9.7 seconds. I suppose you can get this down to about 6 seconds, 6.5 seconds when you have food, when you have all the crew skills. This will be helpful. Aiming time 2.3 seconds with 0.33 dispersion. This is a Russian tank with a 0.33 dispersion. Very interesting. This will be an accurate gun. However, the downside on this tank is 5 degrees of depression. Ah, yes. Old Soviet tanks. You can only fight in this tank in flat ground, or maybe if you find a little speed bump on the road, you could use that to hull down. But that's about it. 5 degrees of gun depression isn't much. You have to be exposing yourself in order to get gun depression, going over a hill to shoot before reversing down into cover again. The speed is pretty good, 45 kilometers an hour going forward, 18 in reverse. However, the power to weight ratio is only 12.9, so this makes it a pretty slow medium tank. But we'll see what happens when the time comes this tank is released. Let's go on to the next tank. And here we go. This is the kind of like the main event, because this tank is a lot of interest about this tank. This is the Tier 10 ZSR Special. It's been buffed a little. The hit points from 2300 buffed to 2400. Really cool looking model. The gun is actually sitting right at the top of the turret, so I don't know how this tank will get any kind of gun depression. I'm assuming it has 0 gun depression or 3 degrees or something. How do you point the gun down if it's sitting so high up and it's not an oscillating turret? So really weird looking. But 750 horsepower, 13.6 power to weight ratio, a very slow heavy tank, 35 kilometers going forward, 15 in reverse, turret armor 130 millimeters. However, you have to take into account how sloped that armor is. Everything is going to bounce off it. Maybe the weak point is going to be the mantlet, I don't know. But hull armor 210, turret armor 130, 560 alpha. This is a big old gun. 560 alpha is really impressive. Penetration 260 on the standard shells, 320 on the premium shells. Again, you've got one of these machine gunners that are pointing at the back. Shoot at your own teammates, those guys that are running away, that are backing off, the artilleries and the TDs hiding at the back. Yeah, you shoot them, wake them up. Yeah, power to weight ratio, we already talked about that. The speed of the projectile, 1000 meters per second, and the premium shells 950 meters per second. I'm assuming this is going to be APCR stock shells and heat shells for your premium shells. I also don't think this is going to be released just like this. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this will have a 3D style, because it just looks too plain to be released this way. I mean, it looks like there's nothing going on, very simple looking, nothing special about it. They're gonna spice it up a bit with a 3D style. I'm gonna bet on that. I'm sure they're gonna do that. Very elongated turret. This thing will be easy to hit from the side. You can't miss the turret, but it is sloped armor even on the side. So I'm curious to see how well this will be defensively, even on the side turrets, because I feel like it's gonna bounce some shells. But anyway, let's move to the next tank, which is the Chaffy. And the Chaffy is back as a premium tier 5 gift tank. Maybe it is our anniversary reward, I don't know, maybe it's a login reward, but it's definitely some kind of free reward tank, because they normally give these tier 5s away because nobody plays them, nobody cares. Huge machine gun, just look at how big the 50 cal is compared to the tank. This says a lot about the size of the tank. Really small, tiny tank. Maybe you can fit 2-3 guys in there, I don't know what is the how many crew they have in there, but it does 110 damage on the from the gun. I think this is like maybe a 57mm gun, I have no idea. The penetration, 96mm of penetration on the standard shells, 143 on the premium shells. Shell velocity pretty slow, just a little bit faster than artillery, 619 meters per second. This thing, you're gonna be lobbing your shell like a tennis ball at your enemies. And the premium shell velocity is 869 meters per second. Really quick reload time. 4.22 seconds. I don't think you're gonna need to run any kind of gun rammer here. Aim time 1.44 seconds as well. Really quick aim time, really quick reload. 0.36 this dispersion, really poor dispersion because it's a light tank, so they always find a way to penalize these light tanks, that you can't have good accuracy and a good fast firing gun if you're in a light tank, and that's what they do to you. 10 degrees of gun depression, 15 degrees gun elevation, 56 kilometers an hour going forward, 20 in reverse, 15.6 power to weight ratio. This will have a little bit of mobility, but not that great mobility, to be honest with you. Absolutely no armor as usual. This is a light tank and a giveaway light tank. Let's go on to the next tank and see if the next tank is a little bit more interesting. And it is interesting because the next tank is this monstrosity. Can't remember the name. And again, this is going to be some kind of reward free tank. 115 damage, 128 penetration, 177 penetration with the premium shells. This thing looks unique enough to be desirable. I would want to at least try out this tank once. It looks a lot like an anti-aircraft gun if you think about it. See how the turret oscillates from a pivot point at the back of the turret. So the turret is going to be rotatable, but the gun is a separate entity to the rest of the turret. It looks like it's mounted on an independent axis. Is that even a bustle? I don't even know what they call it, but pretty cool looking tank. I like the way it looks. I don't know how it's going to play. I don't expect it to have any kind of armor because it's absolutely flat like some chicks I know, but I don't think it's going to have any kind of protection at all. So that's the downside of this tank. If you shoot it at the turret from any angle, from the front, from the side, from the back, it's not going to be able to defend itself. So I'm going to assume that this is going to be a backliner. You're going to be hiding behind a bush or something to shoot. This thing has 16 seconds reload time, but it is an auto loader, I would say. 3 shells in the magazine with 2.5 seconds of intra clip. 2.11 seconds aim time. The dispersion, however, kind of sucks. It has 0.4 dispersion, but there are some other numbers associated with this dispersion. Apparently, when you're stationary or you're in the move, you're going to have even better dispersion. I'm not sure because it's kind of not clear the way they are describing it, because it says motion 0.23 dispersion and then in brackets 10.35. I have no idea what it means at all. Maybe stationary you have a different kind of dispersion. Maybe when you're moving you have a different kind of dispersion. I have no idea what they're trying to say, but it does have 15 degrees of gun depression, which is absolutely insane. And then it has 60 degrees of gun elevation. So again, like an anti-aircraft gun, you can point this gun right up in the sky, which is pretty cool looking, kind of quirky, kind of different. I'm looking forward to playing this tank maybe once, but I'm still looking forward to playing it. It has 600 horsepower, 370 meters of view range. It has 10% camo, which means 25 maximum. So stationary, that is. So we'll see what happens with this tank. It's probably going to be some kind of reward, some kind of free tank. Let's move on to the next tank. This is of course been going around, and people have been paying attention to this tank because it's a double barrel TD ISU 122-2. This tank will really ruin your day, and it looks like it's mounted on some kind of an IS-3 chassis. in reverse. It looks like this is the front of an IS-3 and that is the back of an IS-3 or an IS, I'm not sure. I think it's probably an IS-2 or something like that. That kind of chassis pointed at the back. So it's going to probably drive in reverse a lot quicker than it does drive forward. I suppose this is a good thing for tank destroyers. They can run away pretty quickly. 390 alpha on this tank. The penetration is 258 on the standard shells and 300 on the stock shells. I think standard shells is probably APCR because it has 1100 shell velocity, 850 shell velocity on the premium shells. The reload time 9.59 seconds and the full reload is about 20 seconds. If you fire 2 shots together salvo, you're gonna have 2 seconds of preparation time and 7 seconds of charging time. I think 2 seconds means you hold down your shoot button for 2 seconds before it fires off. 7 seconds charging time, I'm not sure what it means. And then there's a reloading lock time of 1 second, recoil force from the salvo 200. I have no idea what those numbers mean. I probably won't play this tank because it does not have a turret. I have no interest in this, but I will probably get a free one and I will play 1 or 2 games to let you know what I think about it. 0.35 dispersion, 5 degrees of gun depression and 15 degrees of gun elevation. This thing has 16 power to weight ratio, 40 kilometers an hour going forward, 20 in reverse. I am assuming forward is that way and reverse is that way just because of the orientation of the hull, but we'll see. I'm not too sure what's going on with this tank, but will this be released sometime in Christmas? We'll find out. Yeah, let's go on to the next tank. Okay, this one is a sexy one. This is the PZ KPFW Aufklärungs whatever F2. Pretty cool looking, but again, another tier 5 shitter, tier 6 shitter, I have no idea. This is really unfortunate that they release these kind of tanks that absolutely no one is going to play. Because tier 5 is inactive, there's just bots and absolutely seal clubbers and nothing interesting going on in tier 5 matchmaking at the moment. Maybe things will change if a bunch of people start playing tier 5s, but this thing does 110 damage with 110 penetration, 158 on the premium shells, 740 meters per second shell velocity, 925 with the premium shells. Reload time is 3.84 seconds. This thing will fire really quickly. Aim time 2.21 seconds. The dispersion also buffed to 0.37. This is going to be, sounds like a pretty competitive tank. 10 degrees of gun depression, 20 gun elevation, 40 kilometers an hour going forward, 15 in reverse, 300 horsepower. Power to weight ratio is 12.71, so not exactly a quick nimble medium tank, but we'll see. Maybe the weight of the tank is going to be light, which makes it fast. We'll find out. Yeah, hull armor 80 in the front, but they've nerfed it down to 50 in the front, and it's kind of boxy and square, so you're gonna be damaged pretty easily if someone shoots you just where the machine gun or the driver's port is. And then the turret armor 50 frontally and 30 on the side. Again, very flat. It's gonna take damage if you shoot it there. So pretty interesting. This thing has pretty good camo though, 14% camo stationary, which means you can get this down to about 30% camo values if you have some camo crew, if you have some skills. It'll be pretty good hiding in the bushes. But yeah, pretty sexy looking tank just as it is. I'm glad that they put some effort into the German tanks, make it look a little bit more desirable. But let's move on to the next tank. And this is the last tank I have for you. This is the Type 63 Japanese heavy tank in tier 8, of course. some kind of premium tank. Again, with this funky gun with the cooling coils, pretty cool looking. I say this is the last tank. There are a couple more tanks, but I can't be bothered to show them to you because they're probably not interesting to me, and they're probably some kind of free tank or gift tank that is not sexy, or tier 3 giveaways, login giveaways. A pretty interesting turret. I think it's some kind of oscillating turret style, pivots from the middle of the tank. It looks like the bustle detaches from the silhouette of the side profile here, so the turret is going to look kind of special or look kind of funky when it's looking downwards, when it's using its, is it 10 degrees of gun depression? It is 10 degrees of gun depression to look down. It's going to look pretty unique looking, I should say. So it has a sloped armor, so you're looking at some kind of protection here going on. It'll be pretty interesting to see what happens with the turret armor. It's 175 and it's sloped. The mantlet itself very angled, so you're not going to pan that. It does 320 alpha damage, so not a lot of damage, to be honest with you. 230 penetration on the standard shells, 290 on the premium shells, and they have changed the stats a little bit. The power to weight ratio is 15.4, which makes it kind of like a mobile heavy tank, kind of quick heavy tank, to be honest with you, but it doesn't go forward very, it doesn't have a great top speed, only 35 going forward, 12 in reverse. The hull rotation as well, not that great, only 29.2 degrees of hull rotation. I don't know what the draw of this tank is going to be like. Reload time 9.6 seconds. This gives it a pretty quick reload time. However, you have a cooldown period. Dispersion is 0.36. I'm assuming that is with a hot gun, and then there's a 0.27 dispersion when your gun is cooled down. So you're going to be waiting for your gun to cool down, so it doesn't matter even if you have a 9.6 second reload time. The cooldown period is 12.3 seconds, so effectively the cooldown period is your reload time, because you're going to have to wait 12.3 seconds in order to fire your gun with 0.27 accuracy instead of the 0.36 if you fired your gun with without it being cooled down. Aim time is 2.59 seconds, and again 10 degrees of gun depression and 5 degrees of gun elevation. This is the last tank that I'm showing you, the Type 63 premium tier 8 Japanese heavy tank. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.